Big video today, lots of Xbox topics to talk about, including Gears 5 and Halo Master Chief Collection getting updated for Xbox Series X. Will the Xbox Series S hold back the X and the entire generation? And Phil Spencer talks about new Xbox hardware. Let's get into it. What is going on, everybody? It's Randall419, the man with the million, back again with another video. Hope everyone's having a great day, and if you guys could do me a huge favor, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and please share this video out on social media. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for all the continued support. There's so much going on in the video game industry right now, less than 3 weeks away from the launch of a brand new generation. And I saw today that press and influencers have started to receive their PlayStation 5s. The excitement is truly starting to build, and I can't wait to get my hands on both of those systems on November 10th and November 12th, respectively. But in this video, we got a lot of Xbox topics to cover. One of the big talking points right now is the Xbox Series S and how it will hold back next generation, and maybe more specifically, hold back the Xbox Series X from reaching its full potential. We're going to be talking a little bit about that and the upgrades that Gears 5 and Halo Master Chief Collection will be seeing on the Series X. And did I hear that right? Gears 5 is actually going to be getting a campaign DLC in December. That is pretty damn cool. Wish it was November. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the video. But starting the video off, we're going to be talking about Phil Spencer and his quotes about new Xbox hardware, but it's not what you probably think. I grabbed this article from Windows Central. The link will be in the description. Go support those guys. I do the podcast with Jez Corden every single Friday. It starts off by saying, in a recent interview via The Verge with Stratechery, Xbox lead Phil Spencer offered some hints about where Xbox Game Pass and Project xCloud game streaming could head in the future. The interview with Stratechery is paywalled, but The Verge extracted some interesting quotes about Spencer's thoughts on what the future could hold. Quote, "I think you're going to see lower price hardware as part of our ecosystem when you think about streaming sticks and other things that somebody might want to just go plug into their TV and go play via xCloud. You could imagine us even having something that we just included in the Game Pass subscription that gives you an ability to stream xCloud games to your television and buying the controller." Brad Sams of Thoreau.com previously revealed that Microsoft was experimenting with a Chromecast-like TV dongle dubbed Project Hobart. In the interview with Stratechery, Phil Spencer also reportedly mentions the possibility of an Xbox Game Pass Platinum tier that would come with free hardware similar in design to Xbox All Access. Now, personally, I think an Xbox streaming stick is a no-brainer. I would expect that maybe to arrive at the end of 2021, maybe in 2022. Microsoft wants xCloud everywhere. It's already available on Android. Microsoft is already trying to work around the Apple restriction to get it on iOS. We've talked about that in a previous video. They're going to copy what Luna is doing and have it be browser-based so Apple can't block it. Xbox's stated goal right now is to reach 3 billion gamers, and getting xCloud and their exclusives on both mobile platforms is important. But what about TVs? Almost every smart TV in existence right now has entertainment apps like Netflix, Amazon Prime. And I know Xbox is working with Samsung to potentially get a Xbox Game Pass app on their TVs. But maybe it's not feasible for Microsoft to get a native Xbox Game Pass app on all smart TVs. But what they could essentially do is sell you an Xbox streaming stick, something that you buy for, say, $100, maybe even $50, plug it into your TV, and you use your Xbox controller to stream anything from the Game Pass catalog. You gotta keep in mind that Xbox is all about options and trying to remove the barriers of getting people to subscribe to the Xbox ecosystem. Sure, if you want to, you can spend $500 on the beastly Xbox Series X, or play everything on your $3,000 PC, but not everybody's made of money. That's why the Series S exists at $300, and that's also why Microsoft is trying to put all their games on a device you already own via Android and iOS. Logically, the next step there is to sell a very cheap Xbox streaming stick to anybody that has a TV so they can potentially get in the Xbox ecosystem. And I already can think of a scenario where this could work. Someone who is heavily invested into the PlayStation ecosystem bought the $500 PlayStation 5, buys all their games there, but with the purchase of Bethesda and all the exclusives that Xbox will be putting out, maybe that person might might want to try out some games, but he isn't willing to spend $500 on the Series X or $300 on a Series S. If there was an option where he could buy a cheap streaming stick for $100, plug it into the TV that he already uses for the PlayStation 5, and subscribe to Game Pass to play all those exclusives, that could open up a huge window of opportunity for Xbox down the road. Now, the other part of the article that I want to learn a lot about is this supposed Xbox Game Pass Platinum tier, and it would come with free hardware. That makes me wonder, how much is that Platinum tier? Right now, you can subscribe to Game Pass Console and Game Pass PC for $10 separately, or both of them via Xbox Game Pass Ultimate for $15, which gives you the ability to stream Game Pass games to your Android device. But what would a Platinum tier cost? $30? And what kind of free hardware would you get with that? I don't even know where to begin to speculate with that, but let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. Now we're going to be talking about the Gears 5 Series X and Series S enhancements that the game will be getting on November 10th. It starts out with the Gears 5 campaign New Game Plus details. To put it simply, Gears 5's New Game Plus is a more customizable experience coming to all versions of Gears 5 that won't need to be unlocked regardless of where you're playing. Here's a rundown of the new features you'll find for the campaign on November 10th. 2 new difficulty modes, Iron Man and Inconceivable, character skins for Kate, Dell, and JD, weapon skins, jack upgrades carry over, mutators like Big Head mode, etc., and new achievements. Now, in a very surprising and cool addition, Batista joins the campaign. That's right, Batista. Dave Batista's WWE persona made his first appearance in Gears 5 multiplayer. After plenty of support and enthusiasm from Batista in the community, Batista is getting his Gears 5 campaign debut as an optional skin for Marcus Phoenix, complete with a new voiceover. Quote, he had his fan campaign on Twitter trying to be the star in the much talked about movie ideas and things like that, but this is a great way of delivering that to fans. And of course, he was super excited to participate when they did the skin for multiplayer. I think doing this in the campaign was just a natural evolution to say, okay, well, the fans and him have said they want Batista's Marcus, so let's actually make that happen. And it's not one of those things where you choose Batista's skin and you still hear Marcus's voice. No, Dave Batista actually went in and recorded all the lines that Marcus says in the campaign. So I'll be very interested in hearing if any of you guys are planning on redoing the campaign and playing this time with Batista. Let me know in the comments below. The Coalition is also taking a shot at Gears 5 story DLC, and it'll be available on Xbox One, PC, and the Xbox series of consoles. Quote, all I can say is December and the title is Highbusters, so it might give you a little hint as to what the content might be, said Zoe Kerno, the Gears 5 principal lead producer. That'll be available on the new consoles as well, so it'll be optimized for those too. Now in Gears 5, the Hidebusters are a squad of 3 who never make an appearance in the campaign, but instead star in the new mode Escape. Team Scorpio's Keegan, Lonnie, and Mac are the default squad, though you can go in with one of your own choosing that infiltrates swarm hives on what would be considered suicide missions to destroy the enemy strongholds from the inside. Team Scorpio doesn't have much of an identity in Gears 5, though they do have an origin story in the Gears of War Hivebusters comics. Now this is pretty damn cool. There was rumors going around that there would be story DLC for Gears 5. I'm happy that it's actually coming. It seems to be about 3 to 4 hours in length. The only disappointing part here is that it's not coming with the launch of the consoles on November 10th. Now we all know that Gears 5 is getting updated for both consoles. On the Series X, it'll run at native 4K 60 frames in the campaign, and the multiplayer will be 120 frames on both the Series X and S, but they also talk here about more improvements to the game. Quote, when we first showed that demo in March, at that time, we had already lit up a whole bunch of high-spec PC ultra-spec features that we already support on the highest-end PC hardware. We were able to light those up and turn those on, and the Series X just sort of absorbed it. There were no performance issues, and then we went beyond that. I think even at that time, we didn't enable some of the new features we've added, like contact shadows and screen space global illumination, which really just increased the quality of the lighting and the shadowing in the game. So yeah, that was about a 2-week effort. Rainer said the speed of the Xbox Series X also enables a visual quality in an open world, even when you're zooming past the details on, say, a skiff. Quote, we have some open world elements in our game where we're streaming high-res textures, and you know, we have geometry streaming in and out. And so what you see is you see the highest quality version of the assets as you kind of fly around the world as fast as you can, whereas before, especially at some of the lower spec hardware, like the base Xbox One, you might see a little bit of popping or text or popping. These types of things are just a non-issue. In the future, I think you'll be able to see, not that I should talk too much about future stuff, you're going to see the types of open world games that just simply wouldn't have been possible on earlier hardware. hardware. Another spot Rayner said players will notice the difference is in Gears 5 cinematics. They'll now run at 60 frames per second rather than 30 frames per second as they did originally. Rayner said that this is just one of the many other visual upgrades they've been able to make on the hardware for a more seamless performance and a generally higher level of detail. Gears 5 isn't the only game getting updated for the new consoles. Xbox tweeted this out the other day about Halo the Master Chief Collection. They say it's time to dust off the old Needler. It's fully optimized on Series X and S, 120 frames per second in campaign and multiplayer, split screen improvements, and up to 4K on Series X, and it's available for free to existing owners or those with Xbox Game Pass on November 17th. I don't know about you guys, but it certainly seems that Microsoft's first party are targeting 120 frames in multiplayer a lot. Halo Master Chief Collection, 120 frames. Gears 5 multiplayer, 120 frames. Halo Infinite's multiplayer, 120 frames. Even Ori and the Will of the Wisp is getting updated for 120 frames. That's just from Microsoft's first party. We also know that Dirt 5 has 120 frame modes, and that's something I hope we see more of in the future. There's also been a lot of speculation regarding the Xbox Series S and if it's going to hold back the generation and prevent the Series X from reaching its full potential. Last week, Phil Spencer said this about it: "There's nevertheless a real power difference between these two new Xboxes. That has worried some developers who have cited that the Series S deficiency in RAM, 10 gigabytes to the X's 16 gigabytes, as a hindrance to getting next-gen Xbox games to perform as well as the X's specs should allow them to. I've heard from experienced developers who are split on this issue." I'm not worried, said Phil Spencer. "I think we have proof points, like we've said on PC, that show that you can get absolutely amazing looking games on great hardware and have those games scale to the hardware capability." He also acknowledged the additional labor that is being put on developers to design for the S and X specs. Quote, "But absolutely it is work. There's no doubt about that. The fact that you have two performance specs now, I'm not going to stand here or try to PR somebody and say two different specs is the same as having one spec. It's not. We're doing this because we want to expand the market." But that's a quote from Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox. Of course, he isn't going to talk down about his own product line. So what do some other developers think about it? Well, speaking in a recent interview with Gaming Bolt, Bohemia Interactive's Peter and David, project leads on the online loot shooter Vigor, said that owing to the fact that the Series S's CPU is roughly on par with the Series X processor, by and large the console won't hold back next gen and should be able to run all games, albeit on lower resolutions. Quote, "The important thing is that the CPU hasn't been downgraded, so the Series S will not limit the potential scope or features of the games," the developer said. The Series S shouldn't have any issues with the same games on lower resolutions, maybe some adjusted graphic effects. A lot of stuff covered in this video, so let me know what you think about everything in the comments below, and as always, if you enjoyed it, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, share this video out on social media, or tell a friend about the channel. If you want to be notified right away whenever I drop a new video, make sure you hit the notification bell. If you want to take your support for the channel even further, you can hit the join button where you get access to channel badges and emotes for the Xbox 2 podcast we do every single Friday. Thank you guys so much for watching. I truly appreciate it, and I'll see everybody in the next video. Thank you guys.